Chairman, Ranking Member, thank you very much. Mr. Gardner, for the people of Louisiana who have been very patient in waiting for rail between New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Mobile, here's your shot. Give them the shot of the arm of confidence that this is actually going to happen.
Well, thank you, Mr. Carter, and we are very confident about bringing service to the Gulf Coast, we have reached a settlement with our partners, and our hope is that that could commence by the end of the year. We'll see. It could be pushed on a little longer. It's going to be depending on some construction work that's happening in Mobile, the station there, some other things, but we're working hard. There's strong support from the states and the Southern Rail Commission, as you know, and we're really just at this point got to get all the elements in place. But Amtrak is committed, has been long committed to this service and to be a partner to the Southern Rail Commission. As it relates to Baton Rouge, we supported certainly the Louisiana and Southern Rail Commission efforts there, and have a strong partnership with Canadian Pacific, now KC, to permit us to operate trains over that route. There's going to be some investment required, particularly to deal with the spillway there, to be able to facilitate the service. But a good plan. Both ourselves and CP are soon to be in receipt of the preliminary engineering work sort of report that's necessary for us to look at those opportunities. But we see that service there could happen in several years, and on Mobile to New Orleans, that should be really within the year.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I know how hard you guys worked on it, but I want to emphasize the importance it is for the people of New Orleans, for the region, and it's something that has been long awaited, and we're very excited about the movement. In the Gulf Coast Working Group of 2017 report to Congress, they wrote, in the more than 10 years since Hurricane Katrina struck, Gulf Coast leaders and residents have made great strides in rebuilding businesses, communities, and infrastructure that connects cities across the region. In the last 5 years, more than $3 billion in private funds were invested in industrial, medical, IT, and aerospace sectors. As mentioned earlier in this report, during the next 30 years, the Gulf Coast and Florida populations are expected to increase by 10 million to 13.8 million, respectively. For the region to harness this projected population growth, it needs multimodal transportation systems that provide transportation as alternatives. Do you believe that this route serves as the multimodal transportation system that was called for 5 years ago?
I think it's the beginning of that service, absolutely. There's going to be the initial corridor service, and then certainly opportunities to strengthen connectivity between the intercity passenger rail service and local transit, because as the report says, it's really critical that we create a network of operations that can support people traveling without their cars. We think this initial service is a great start. We're excited for it, and I think there's a lot of support amongst
Do you see this for being useful for commuters as well as vacationers?
Absolutely. We see there's a strong international visitor component in New Orleans that will find rail service, I think, attractive. And then we see a lot of opportunity along the Gulf Coast there for many of the towns that have things to offer visitors, and for workers and who need to travel between the various cities for jobs.
And we find ourselves now in hurricane season. Share with me your view on it being able to be utilized as a mode of transportation for disasters and evacuations.
Well, we've had some experience with this in the past, and I think that the difficulty typically with using passenger trains for evacuation, unless it's well in advance, is that our host railroads, the freight railroads, often curtail their own operations in advance of a hurricane. So if they've shut down the railroad, we can't operate over it. Having said that, certainly we endeavor to work with FEMA and work with the state emergency management folks about creating opportunities for service when there is a need. But it's difficult where we don't control the railroad.
Okay, you got a few seconds left. I want to go back to these Chrissy grants that were mentioned earlier. Chrissy grants, share with us and the public benefit of your having access to Chrissy grants.
Well, Chrissy really is a unique program in that it's available to a broad set of eligible participants to cover a variety of rail improvements. Most of the Chrissy grants we've ever been involved with are at the request of states or railroads who seek to gain safety investments or other improvements in their properties that'll
Go back
facilitate
for a second.
passenger.
Safety.
Absolutely.
Safety. One of the most significant things that we can do with transportation going through communities is making sure the communities are safe. Is that correct?
Absolutely.